Welcome. So glad to have you back again today. I have a special guest, and that is Susanne Wilson, the Carefree Medium. As some of you probably read, Susanne was my mentor for mediumship. And she just helped me at an exceptionally low time in my life. I met Susanne when I was going through a very bad dark night of the soul. And she was kind enough to take me on as a student for mediumship anyway, despite all of that. And it's been a godsend. So before we jump into that, I just want to say hello to my listeners in Nairobi, Kenya. It's so great to see the listenership going up more and more there. So happy to have you here with us. And Susanne, I was telling you, I thought that the people who follow my show would love to hear about your first experience with angels that you can remember.
Ivory, first off, thanks for having me here. This is actually thrilling. I look back years ago, and into my office walks this brilliant light with all these angels all around her, and I'm like, what is this going to be about? I would say it was a very well lit dark night of the soul. Anyway, angels, listen, I'm the person who used to say, I'm not an angel lady. I talk to discarnates, people who are not now in bodies. I talk to spirit guides. They mostly used to be human, but angels, I don't know so much. Maybe that's just a catch-all phrase when a medium doesn't know who their message is coming from. Ooh, was I wrong? And I'm perfectly willing to admit when I'm wrong. And I realized in adulthood that some of the beings that were very lovely and loving that I saw in childhood had been from the angelic realm. But you want to know about the first big event where I have to acknowledge I see angels, right? All right. I had done a space clearing on my house, and this has been many years ago. And I'd read instructions because I want the ABC 1, 2, 3 and of instructions. I want to know I'm doing a process and I'm doing a process right. And that's why I relate really well to students who say, and give me instructions. I'm like that too. In the instructions, Ivory, it said, invite an angel to stand in the center of the house, whatever room you feel is the heart of the home. And I did. So as I'm walking back to my living room with my sage and with my high hopes that I've done a pretty good job of doing a space clearing on my home, just because I thought it was time, I round the corner, and to my surprise, there's an angel about 9 or 10 feet tall, standing in the living room exactly where I said I wanted an angel to be. And I did one of those, not double takes, but triple takes. I remember closing my eyes really tight and then looking again, and it's still there. And just to give you some idea of the perspective, the eyes on this beautiful being were about the size of 2 watermelons. And I'm looking up, and all I can feel is the most love I've ever felt, the safest I've ever felt. And years later, that feeling would be replicated in my having a near-death experience. But up until that time, I had never felt so much love and so safe. And so I was thinking, stay there, just stay there. I want to get a picture. I want to do this, or I want to do that. And as quickly as that thought came of, wow, I've got to get a picture, it faded away. And I was just like, don't leave me. And that was the transformative experience with angels.
Do you think that was an archangel?
I still, to this day, I don't know. My own team of guides they're a little cagey sometimes. They want me to do self-discovery. And I know that I've asked many times, not recently, and they say it was the angel that you needed.
I just asked because when I see an archangel and they come through in a more traditional form as expected, instead of just the light, they tend to be so much taller than other angels, like sometimes 20 feet tall even, but like 9 feet tall even is tall. And I'm tall.
It's
That's
so
tall.
big, so big. He, she, it could have even been taller than that. I have to tell you, it was the feeling that really made the impression upon me, because I was so used to people,
Mhm.
and I was so used to guides who had been people. And I really had to eat some crow about saying people just credit the angels for a message because they haven't learned to discern where the message is coming from. I'm like, no, angels can really do that, but their message is love, and their message is also our self-reliance is important, because I don't know if that angel would have been standing there if I hadn't been following my directions from some book about how to do a space clearing. And if I hadn't asked, stand in this room, I feel like it's the center of the house. And it took a little time, but after that, I became aware of my own guardian angel. And she does come in an appearance of an angelic being. I don't see feathers. I don't see wings. I see more like light around her that would be in the form of wings. And, I know from, having talked to you years ago, a decade ago, that angels will show us an appearance of how we need to see them, or what's most acceptable, at least in the beginning. Right. And as we get more comfortable, we're able to see emotion, color, layers, and it's a reflection of ourselves that they allow us to see. When we get to know angels, we get to know ourselves better, because it's a path of discovery. And in opening to the unknown, you do get to a point of knowing yourself.
You do. And it's interesting because it's lovely you have this conscious memory and you're so aware of your angels talking to you and being around you. And I feel for the people who aren't there yet, who say, do I have angels? Or I don't think I have angels, or I don't think I deserve angels. It's like, it doesn't matter. I've never met a person yet who doesn't have a team of angels. Have you?
No, I don't know that they're out there. I think there's some people that have a team of very frustrated angels and guides, and maybe I used to be one, and that's okay. We're all growing on our paths. One of the differences I found between the angels and guides is angels seem to need more of a direct request. They want to know they're not treading upon free will. Guides don't try to usurp our free will either, but they're pretty good about little hints here and there, and little, creating synchronicities and all of that. And I have wondered if angels are just a little more to the letter of the law, about, I think, a Star Trek and the prime directive: do not interfere. Do not interfere, but help when help is appropriate. And I don't know, how does that really work, Ivory?
I feel like it's very much like that. And, there's times I've told people, to be patient when they ask their angels for help with something, because it's not always going to come just exactly, rarely, just exactly when you ask for it. And I always think back to around the time I met you, probably like midway through that year of training with you, I was asking my angels for clarity about a situation that I was in and the best way to proceed. And I got radio silence on it. And I asked every morning, every night, and it went on for about 7 months. And then I think I told you about that dream that I had where that was so vivid. Like all of my angels and guides were sitting around me. I'm in my bed, propped up, and they're kneeling to my left on the floor, holding my hands, stroking my head. And my master guide said, "You have to leave to save yourself." And I started crying. And I woke up and I was crying. And I knew they'd been there because I could still feel the energy in the air. And I knew that was the truth. And I needed to hear that. And that's why I tell people, so it may take longer than you want to get your answer, but when you get your answer, to me, it's really powerful and undeniable.
That is lovely to hear. And especially the words powerful and undeniable. And I also wanted evidence that when I started sensing an angel around me all the time after that, that was my angel. Are you really with me? Are you devoted to me? Can I be a real stinker and grouchy one day and you won't leave? Or do I need to earn you or deserve you? And I kept getting the message, just be you. I'm here. And I was looking for evidence that I wasn't losing my mind, and I should know better. I mean, I've been a medium, I've been a clairvoyant, clair everything since childhood. I tried to live the normal life for many years, the corporate life, the degrees, college, all of that. And it did take a wake-up call to get my attention to make this my life's work. But I didn't know if I deserved to have a guardian angel or a guardian, or if that was really a thing. So I said, I really would like to have someone else be aware of you. And I got a message from someone in a spiritual center that I was attending. And he said, I keep seeing an angel around you. And at the time I was having really bad problems with my neck. And he knew that. And he said, this angel has her hands on your neck, and then she moves her hands on your head. And I thought, well, that's nice. I know he knows about my neck, or he's not trying to say, that's the evidence. But I had just written in my journal the name Mariella a day before. I kept hearing the name Mariella. And he said, this angel has a name. I'm like, oh no. So I'm holding my breath and I keep reading, and he says, she is an aspect of Mother Mary amplified in the angelic room, and her name is Mary something. And I thought, okay, that's good enough evidence for me. Okay, I have an angel. She's my angel. I deserve this angel. This angel's helping me, and I can call her Mariella. And once I accepted that, and it's so ironic that I could accept that with spirit guides and not with angels. Once I accepted that, angels have become pretty much a daily occurrence, and I'm glad.
That's really beautiful. And it's always good to get confirmation. And it makes me think about, remember when we were talking about angels? I know it's been a long time now, but back when I was studying with you, and I'd always been aware of angels and seen them and heard them, but I never worried about what their name was or what each individual's role was or anything. And so I started to become more aware of that. And then while I was studying with you, I had that dream about Sir Marius, and he never said a word to me. And it was so powerful. And you said, well, if you think that's your master guide, why don't you ask him for a sign? And so I went home and I said it again. I said, yes, I would like a sign that you, Sir Marius, are my master guide. And then that next morning, I went out on my back patio. And I don't know if you remember, but there were balls about this size, like about bigger than golf balls, of this gray fluffy stuff rolling around on my back patio. And I'd never seen anything like it. I'm like, what? It looked like ashes, but in a ball. And I picked one up in my hand, and a slight breeze blew the gray away, and there was a perfect white feather in my palm. And those little balls appeared for like, I'm getting chills from the angels as I talk about
I
it.
just got them on my arms, and I'm wearing a
Rolling in
sweater.
every day. And I'm like, I get it. I get it. I get
Mhm.
it. So I do think there's a lot of validation in asking for confirmation, a sign or of any kind, like you asked for, or I didn't really have a preconceived notion of what that sign would be, but it certainly wasn't little gray mystery fluffy balls with white feathers in them. No.
Yeah, and you can ask for, you can be descriptive of the sign, but you have to let go of when it happens, how it happens. And for example, I remember I've told students before, validate your guide, validate once you have a general feeling of where they are in your aura, whether it's a guide or an angel, validate them. Just say, I feel that you're usually over here to my left. I have a sensation that you're wanting me to perceive you as masculine, feminine, if any. I think we've agreed upon a name that I can call you. Now, can you give me a sign, something in the physical world where I can say, this is real and I'm not crazy. Just humor me, if you will. And so people will ask for like one white feather, one yellow flower, or something outrageous. I remember I had a person ask for an elephant, and her little girl brought a little elephant toy home from the neighbors and said, it's a magical elephant. It's for you, mommy. So, she wasn't going to get a real live elephant, right? So I was like, you got to let go of the need to control, and you put a time frame on it, 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever. I can't believe I relegated angels for so long in my life to the stained glass windows at the church that I went to, where my granddad was the preacher. I relegated them to realms way beyond spirit guides and things like that. They are a different frequency, and that's all that it is. It's a different frequency. And then once you get that, contact isn't that difficult. And their contact is a joyful contact. I'll hear music. Sometimes the music is like their voice makes music. I've had angels tell me, I say, well, I'd like to call you a name if you're going to keep coming in here. What name shall I call you? And they sing a couple of bars, and I know you're a singer. We both read music. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. Like, you sing my name, you can sing me and I'll come. They're just open to what stimulates your heart energy center and what brings you joy. And we try to limit them. Like, I've had students say angels should have wings or something that looks like wings. They should be female. And just all kinds of stipulations that we have based on stereotypes and things that have been written down in the last few hundred years by other people. Your experience, and this is what I like about what you teach, it's a personal experience of the divine, because they're an emanation, they're an expression of God, as are we. They're just in a different frequency where that's what they are all the time.
Absolutely. I'm thinking about how many times I have seen you in it where you don't know I'm seeing you and you're in a little bit of a trance state, and I'll come up and I'll say, Susanne, and you're like, oh, sorry, there were so many angels.
Yeah, I know. I'll get this random text from you, and it'll be like a year, and then I'll get a random text. Oh yeah, I was thinking about you. And I'm like, yeah, she was. That's what I was doing. I was channeling or something like that. It's really interesting because we create a neural network, and we create a sort of a network in the matrix of energy that connects one and all, the universal consciousness. And as we get to know each other and we share experiences, that creates an even deeper connection. So it's like you and I are linked through knowing each other, through the work that we do, but also through that angelic realm. And it's like your angels that work with you know everything, but they're not going to predict your future. They can see how things are about to unfold. They can see the path that you're on. They might pull you back by the collar as you walk out into traffic to save you, if you're continuing to live and not being injured is in service to your soul's growth. But if you're supposed to die that day, if that's the exit point, they're going to take you out of the body before there's any pain of impact or anything like that. I mean, how handy is that? How wonderful is that somebody cares so much about us that they give us the best protectors, guardians, and the deepest possible reservoir of love within an angel's soul. And I feel like, because it may feel like one angel is connecting with you, but behind that is an unlimited power of all of them. And if you can accept that you, and if I can accept that I have unlimited power as well, then I'm not just, it's not just duality. I'm not just two things, spirit and body. I'm multidimensional. You're multidimensional. The listeners are multidimensional. The people on YouTube are multidimensional. That is why an angel can work with us, because we're living on all these different dimensions all of the time. The good news is you don't have to try to take that in and process it in that filter of your brain. You can just talk with an angel.
I agree. And I think it actually is healthier to work toward having such a close relationship with your angels, and such, if you want to call it, open dialogue, talking with them about everything. They know everything that's happening in your life. They know what's going to happen. So you can actually rely on your intuition and your angels most of the time. And I really, there's people who are like, don't you want to get such and such opinion? No, I feel very confident about what my angels have told me. Well, I think you should do. I hear you, but I'm really going to give more, I guess, more credence to what my angels advise than anybody else, because they only have love and caring for me. There's never any kind of underlying hidden agendas of any kind, whether it's conscious or subconscious. It's only what's
Right.
in your
Or
best and highest
unconscious.
good.
Yeah, there's a resonance that we can develop within, thanks to our interactions with these beautiful spiritual beings, that will guide us, and to get to the point where you can feel in your own physical body what's going to work with you. And people say, I don't vibe with that there's a physical feeling behind that. It can be very, very subtle, but in the presence of the angel itself, all you will feel is loved. But when you're out there in the world, you're doing your job, you're sitting in traffic, you're standing at the Department of Motor Vehicles or whatever it is, if there's ever a moment where anxiety creeps in, or you feel like you're overwhelmed, in one instant, by picturing the angel, or if you've agreed upon a name, just saying their name, even telepathically, that resonance can activate within you. That resonance where, okay, in my center, I am calm and I am at peace. And it's because interacting with angels reminds us of our own divinity. So you can come up with some little key thing that you do that brings you back to center. And we have so much anxiety, free-floating anxiety and personal anxiety in the world right now. So I hope that people who were how I used to be, and keep in mind, I've been seeing colors and spirits and auras from childhood, okay? But I was skeptical about working with angels. It wasn't necessary. It seemed to dilute mediumship in some way. Your angels say this, your angels say that. I thought it was just bad mediumship, to be frank with you. That's not what it is. It's information of a different vibration from beings that transcend anyone who's had human lives. And that can give you instant calm. Now, if I call my guide, LR, if I'm having anxiety, he's been a person, always a person in his incarnations, and he'll be like the talk me down. If I call Mariella, which is what we have agreed upon as the name from my guardian angel, I can get an instant cleansing breath. I can get an instant type of feeling, because she interacts with me differently. They work as a team. So don't just be an angel person. There's guides too, but more of what I see is I just have to be working with guides only. I know angels are around somewhere, Oh no, you're missing out. You're missing out if you don't include, you're missing out on a beautiful experience. But a lot of traditional mediumship teaching, it won't let you go to the angel thing. You need to know exactly who your messages are coming from. Well, you're not giving messages, you're receiving energies, unless you are a professional angel communicator, because they choose from among us who is going to give angel messages for other people. It's the same thing with mediumship. Everybody's capable of getting their own messages from their own beloveds, people and pets and spirit, right? But not everybody is going to be able to consistently get messages from other people's discarnate pets and people and spirit, right? Same thing with angel communication. Everybody can learn how to do it. You wrote a whole book about it. You wrote the book about how to communicate directly with your own angels, but not everybody has a calling to put out all that energy, and it's a lot of energy, just like mediumship, for people to connect with other people's angels and assist them. So the best angel communicators are also teachers, which is, what you do, which is why we vibe so well. I do this too, is that as I'm giving the message and as I'm helping people to connect, I'm telling them ways they can better feel the energy and sense the energies too. So I guess I've made up for lost time of ignoring angels for quite a while. Although my mom did remind me, my mom's 80, she remembers all of all the childhood stories that you've forgotten because it's either out of your mind or you were too little. And she reminded me of me drawing wings and asking me if they were feathers. And I said, no, mommy, they're lights. And the drawings were of my invisible friends. So they've always been here. They've never abandoned me, even though I, in a way, abandoned them for a while. But that was part of my path. I just hope people hearing this will talk to their angels today.
I do too. And I want to say, Suzanne wrote the foreword to my book, which I'm very grateful for. And I appreciate that so much. And Suzanne, you want to talk about your books?
Yeah, there's a very brief PDF on my website when people sign up at carefreemedium.com, but it's a very powerful PDF I wrote with Victor and Wendy Zamet of victorzamet.com. And it's about when your partner doesn't believe in the afterlife and how to handle it. And this is my book, and it's called Soul Smart: What the Dead Teach Us About Spirit Communication. It's available pretty much everywhere online. And this is that ABC 1, 2, 3 direction of how to make your own direct connection with your beloveds who are in spirit. And honestly, if you put our two books together, you've got the perfect combo. Because I'm about, the guides, your soul, your development, wake up calls. And, you've got the ultimate angel book. Wow, get both of them. I'm not kidding. I've thought of that a lot, about how that is the perfect pairing, especially for people, the left brain or the ones that I can't trust it yet, that need the steps written out.
And I like your book because it is very down to earth. It is easy to understand. And I do see the step by step in there. I've actually referred a lot of people to that book. Is there anything else you want to talk about today, Suzanne?
Well, I hope that people find a community. I have heard, whether it's online or in person, but I hope people find a community and some like-minded friends to talk with, because we have seen so much change in the world. And I know that we're in this Aquarian age that has been long hailed as the age of ascension. And there's so many different meanings to ascension. How do we ascend? What does that mean? Does that mean that we're all going to get so spiritual that we're going to drop our physical bodies and ascend in our light bodies to a different dimension? Well, yeah, that could happen. Not today, probably not anytime soon for the vast majority of us. But I want people to keep in mind that what we need to do is to elevate the level of our conversation, elevate our thoughts, elevate our words and our actions to be helpful, hopeful, and healing. A phrase which I often use, that I borrow from Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. which is a great guideline, thoughts, words, and actions to be helpful, hopeful, and healing. When we have so much angst, anger, war, corporate greed, abuse of people and animals in the world, don't turn away and don't run and hide. You don't have to, immerse yourself in it, but have an awareness of what's going on. It is a stark contrast. We have to work on ourselves first, our own individual focus. What are we focusing on? We need to focus on the positive, but we also want to take action and be a good neighbor, good friend, good community member, and try to make your life a living prayer as much as you can, because your alignment with light will allow you to break patterns, automatic patterns that you have had of maybe addiction or excess. There's so many different kinds of addiction now. It's crazy. Amazon can be an addiction. No offense, Amazon. But don't run away, because I really feel like we're here to have experiences, process the emotions and the feelings, integrate them, and that creates wisdom. But we also have to use our energies to help each other. We've got to take better care of each other, our earth, our animals, all of it. It's a clarion call for here and now. And ask your angels for help and for guidance to do that. I'm really hoping that this new generation, those born in the last 20 years, are going to be able to help us clean up some of our messes. I feel an amazing emanation from these younger folks coming in, hardwired, ready to connect with angels, and feeling a sense of responsibility and not pursuing, I have to have this career, I have to have this many kids, I have to own these cars or whatever. They're community minded already. So I'm hopeful for our future, but I don't want anybody to feel like they're off the hook, that anybody's going to save us, that angels are going to save us. They're going to stand beside us as we save ourselves.
I couldn't agree more. It's a passion of mine, to save the planet. So I only feel a stronger push, kind of like I did to write my book and start the show and move to Sedona and do my work full time. And now it's like you need to do something more, again, like I used to, about the environment. I used to do so much when I worked in radio. So I may end up doing something with that too. Susanne, how can people best find you if they want to connect with you?
Go to carefreemedium.com, join my community. In our community, we have a monthly satsang. A sat is truth, sang means community. We take on a topic that our members upvote. We study it that month. We discuss it. We also give our members access to all of the streaming, all of the training that I have right now, and support each other and stay positive. We just get on the newsletter, stay in touch with me. If you see something that you vibe with, go for it. I'm here.
And I agree with that. Finding your tribe is just absolutely essential. The people that are like-minded, people on a similar journey, if nothing else, to people you can talk to about what you're trying to do, what you're experiencing, blockages you're encountering. And you can't usually talk about that to the people that have been in your life for a long time because they haven't experienced it yet. If so, then they are part of your tribe. But I'm all for that, Susanne. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I've wanted to have you on for a long time. I'm glad our schedules finally worked out.
Now, and my heart goes out to you on the recent passing of your dear sister. I love you, Ivory.
Thanks. I love you too.
Okay.
Now I feel tearful.
That's all right. That's a natural expression of the grief that
I've expressed it a lot recently.
It's okay.
I want to just tell everybody to tune in next Sunday. The topic is eating to enhance spirituality. And it's really about how to raise your frequency through what you eat, drink, don't eat, and drink. So it's a big part of clearing your energetic field so that you can experience angels and other wonderful celestial, paranormal, supernatural experiences if you're looking for that. So we'll be talking about that next week. In the meantime, may your angels surround you. May your angels protect you every moment, every day of your life. I'll see you next week.